And you're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. For today's weather, it is currently 71 degrees with showers in the vicinity. We have a high of 80 degrees today, and tonight's low will be 51 degrees. So today we are joined by two special guests in the studio. This week we have with us is Acasia Beam and Ava Frantz. So Acasia is a junior studying criminal justice and with a minor in political science. She joined in the spring 2024 semester, and her previous chairs were secretary and DEI and Panhandle delegate. Her current chair is president, and she is super excited to be here tonight. And Ava Frantz is a sophomore majoring in health sciences with a minor in public health. She joined KBG last spring in 2025. She was previously the homecoming chair, currently the vice president. And as she said, she's been waiting to go on Greek Speak for a while, and she's also super excited to be here. So, Ava and Acasia, thank you so much for joining us in the studio tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure, and we have a lot to talk about in this episode, more than anything. I guess I don't want to say elephant out of the room, so to speak, because this is certainly a positive thing, but both of our chapters are coming off of impressive victories in Greek Week, so we're going to have to spend a lot of time talking about what happened last week. But first, just some simple introductions for both of you. So, of course, you guys both talked about you joining KBG, and you said 2024, 2025, so pretty early on in your college trajectories, I believe. Can you just talk about why you, first off, came to Shippensburg, number one, and then number two, why you joined KBG? We can start with you, Acasia.
Okay. So, I came to Shippensburg. Well, I'm from here, so honestly, it was like the cheapest option, and then basically that's it, honestly. And then why I joined KBG, basically I wasn't really doing anything, or I wasn't involved in anything. So then I saw it on Instagram one day and I'm like, let me try it, because I just wasn't happy with how my college experience was going. And I tried it and I fell in love with it and all of my friends. So
interesting. Social media had a role in that decision. That's interesting to hear. And how about you, Ava? What was it for you to go to Shippensburg and number one, and then number two, join Greek life?
So I actually came to Shippensburg because I have two cousins who came here, or actually three. One of them is still currently here. He's the president of Pi Lambda Phi, Garrett DeFrancesco.
He's your cousin?
He is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he gave me a tour, and I was like, this is actually a really nice campus. I got to know some people, and it was just a great community, and I realized that I was meant to be here. And then coming in, I didn't really want to join a sorority, to be honest, but then I didn't have a great first roommate experience, and I just really wanted to find that close group of girlfriends, and so I just decided to go through recruitment, and I'm so glad that I did.
So for both of you, it seems like it was a way to, I'd say, almost correct what was not right at first within your college experiences. Is that a fair assessment?
yeah.
So coming back to you, Acasia, I'm actually interested in the fact you mentioned it was social media that kind of got you. So how did you stumble upon KBG's page in the first place, and what about it was excitable with it?
To be honest, like, as I said, I was just kind of looking for something more, and I was just scrolling on Instagram one day, and I saw the Ship Panhellenic page, and I decided to click on it and read some more about it, and I saw the link in the bio, so I signed up, and then ever since then, it's kind of just how it happened.
Goes from there, huh? How about you, Ava? I guess that's a different question for you. I mean, you said your roommate struggles were going on.
Yeah.
Group of girlfriends that you were really looking for. So how did you pursue, like, okay, this was it was a sorority. It was going to be that,
right,
because there's all sorts of other organizations on campus you can join. Why was sorority?
Right. So I moved out of that room, and then in my next room, my roommate was also going through recruitment, and she was like, just do it with me, like, it'll be really fun. We can do this together. And we ended up going separate ways. She's in Delta Zeta. Liana, she's my best friend still, and it's just great. We're still best of friends, even though we've gone separate ways.
I think that's pretty fascinating, especially with sorority recruitment being so different compared to fraternity recruitment. Like, with fraternities, it's kind of like, oh, I see Kappa Sigma is holding a flag football event, or I see Pi Lambda is holding a game night in the red zone. I can just kind of go there. Whereas with recruitment for sororities, there's the formal side, and then, going to the coffee dates and stuff like that. I find it very fascinating, and it's actually a little fun fact here. I had no idea what the structure of sorority recruitment was until we had Celia Pack and Haley Mosteller on Greek Speak way back when. and that's actually how I found out. And I was astonished by how different it was. But one point that I want to circle back to is, Acasia, you said you're from here. Did you go to Shippensburg High School? Like, you grew up here, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I did grow up here.
Oh, I don't know if I could. If I grew up here, I don't know if I was staying here. But I mean, no disrespect to the area, but I like to experience some change. But were there any other colleges in consideration, or was it kind of just like, this is where I'm from. I kind of grew up going around the university. Let's make it home.
So I was actually supposed to go to Westchester, and then last minute, I decided to come here, just because the big thing that changed my mind was financial, and it was basically really cheap for me to come here. So that's honestly what pushed my mind. And obviously, I didn't want to stay in Shippensburg that much, but honestly, I love it here. I've grown up here, but I also live off campus. I don't live with my parents, so I still feel like I have the aspect of not living with them and still having my own experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's extremely important. That actually was going to be one of my questions is, did you see yourself just kind of living at home while also being a student? But you answered that. But, the financial thing is not something that people really take into account a lot. I actually kind of resonate with that. Shippensburg definitely originally wasn't one of my top choices. My original top choice was James Madison University, otherwise known as JMU down in Virginia. And I remember I got accepted, and I was so excited. And then I read through the financial aid packet, and I got a whopping $0 back for financial aid. And I went and told my mom, and it was a quick, all right, let's move on. It was as simple as that. And then ultimately I toured SHIP, and I liked SHIP, but then I got the financial aid packet, and I'm like, oh, well, this is pretty doable. And the rest was history. And here we are getting ready to graduate in 2 weeks. But I'll pass things back over to Luke.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I can't believe how quickly it goes. I talked about our last episode 2 weeks ago with the brothers we had on from PSK. The same exact thing about just how close we are to the end at this point. But yeah, I'd say it's really interesting to hear again, the aspect of you're from Shippensburg, but still emphasizing the college experience, if you will, getting that independence. I really enjoyed hearing that because like Andrew said, that calculation of going to school close to home, it was just something that always, I don't want to say terrified me, but just was something that I never could say, oh yeah, I'm really into this. I did feel like I needed a little bit of distance about it. But I want to transition a little bit into the experience within KBG. So you start pursuing this, and Ava, like you mentioned earlier, you had a sort of a teammate as you were going into Greek life, but eventually you went separate ways. Liana joins Delta Zeta, you joined KBG. That being said, for both of you, I guess my question is when did you realize, okay, this is totally right for me? Because you have to overcome that uncertainty at first, I'm sure.
Right. For me, I'd say it was honestly this year, because last semester I got in and it was kind of just getting to know all the sisters some more and just getting comfortable where I was. And then last semester after I had my homecoming chair and I was like, wow, I'm meant to be here. It was just so much fun to get to connect with everybody, and now I feel like I just have a great connection with all of the girls, and it's just amazing because I'll go into any other houses at any time, walk into Acasia's house and be like, hey, let's go get food, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Seems simple and easy. How about you, Acasia?
I feel like I realized that I wanted to have a higher position after I became really close with a couple girls, and one of them being Gabby Diaz. She was secretary and then became president as well, and I feel like she was a huge role model. And when I got to listen and hear more about secretary and being the DEI chair, it just really resonated with me, and it's stuff that I want to pursue throughout my whole career. And then I love secretary, and then I heard about president, obviously, and I was like, I think I could be a really good leader for these girls, so I did it, and I think it's going very well, and I'm happy with it.
It's also a question, Andrew, I guess I'd have for you as well, because you've talked a lot about, before, you always mentioned the story about watching preseason football with the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm just curious about, when was your moment where you realized, oh, this is absolutely right for me?
Man, that's a great question, and that's definitely a question we haven't had so far. But I would definitely say, it probably came. I would say fall of 2023 is when I really started to, things started to click with me. At that point, I was helping out with Mike Burrows in terms of recruitment. I was our social chairman, and I became really close with Trenton Klauser, who was our former Grandmaster of Ceremonies, otherwise known as the Vice President of Membership Development. He was the person before me. Some would say Hindi was before me, but, being in the role for 3 weeks doesn't really count. But that's a story for a different day. But I would definitely say during that time is, when I was having these times where I got to just sit with Trenton and just learn. I felt like I sat under the learning tree and was eager, and I asked so many questions, and I talked to him probably about a year ago about it, and I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry for asking all those questions, and he goes, man, yeah, you're right, it was really annoying, but I'm glad you did it. And at that point it was just like, this is me. I took a bunch of leadership classes in high school, and I really enjoyed them, but I was really looking for something to help me take the skills that I learned and really apply them. So yeah, I would definitely say it was fall 23, and then obviously spring of 2024 was that semester where I was training, and then ultimately I got elected at the end of spring of 24. So it was kind of a 6-month period where the idea of it came up, and then I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I so honestly, as I asked that question, I started thinking, I'm like, what was my sort of moment? And I would go back. So I joined in spring of 2024, became a brother in April that year, and at first it wasn't. I can't say it was amazing. I was obviously very happy to be there. I was very happy I found a strong brotherhood who was supporting me, especially at a time that wasn't easy in my life. But I never really felt that sort of, oh, absolutely, this is 100% great for me, until I would say, if you want to fast forward through that summer where I got to hang out with some of the brothers since I was working in the local area for that summer. So whoever was staying at the house, there was about 5 or 6 people, and anybody who was in the area just got to hang out with people. That was a huge turning point, but what really did it was there was a recognition for Brother of the Summer, and I had received that in fall 2024. That was the first meeting we had back in late August. I think that was my moment where I realized, oh my gosh, this is a place that really thinks that I can be a strong and valuable asset for the chapter, and I really respected that had happened. And I give credit to the people for giving me that support, obviously, but that was sort of my moment in time where I realized, oh, I'm absolutely in the right spot. And I'd say this is I do want to transition quickly, unless, Andrew, you had something to say on that point.
Yeah, I have one quick note, and then I'll pass it back over. But you are the only person that has ever received that award. It was a one-time award, and it was you might as well just give it the Luke Rainey, name it the Luke Rainey Award. Wow. We've never given it away, but I remember us as an executive committee met, and we're like, dude, this guy did probably a semester's worth of work over the summer while he was working a full-time job. So, we literally were like, all right, let's just give him the Brother of the Summer Award. So, just wanted to let you know that we've never given that award, and I don't know if it's ever going to be given again.
Well, I didn't know. Yeah, I honestly didn't know that was a one-time deal. That was the first I'd ever heard that. So that's all the more special. But that was just really, again, that summer was really a time of growth for me, and that's where I really made Kappa Sigma my home. It was the first time I had spent a whole summer away from my hometown. So that was a new experience for me. Never in 20 years had I done that. But I really felt like, because of Kappa Sigma, that summer was all okay. And I'll go for even further, though, so on that point. But that's where I really think, I think everybody's got to spend one summer in their college time on campus or around campus. They got to spend one there, because there's a certain feeling, there's a certain cadence about what goes on that's very different from an average semester, and sort of seeing campus be extremely quiet. You have the band that's practicing every now and then, but there's a select cast of characters you really become closer to, and that's what that summer was all about. But going back to both of you, Ava and Acasia, I want to ask about your positions currently now. So you talked about the opportunity of president coming about a little bit, Acasia, and I'm just going to ask a similar question for Ava as well. But for both of you, do you think the aspiration for president was something that you said, I want this years on end, or years before that, or was it somebody putting it in your ear first that said, hey, you should do this?
It's kind of like a little bit of both. Like, I mentioned Gabby before. She was president, and then she was kind of always whispering in my ear that it goes secretary to pres. That's just how it goes, and I had to follow that. And honestly, for a while, I was like, yeah, like, I really think I would want to do this. And then there was a point, this is when I was secretary. It was getting a little bit hard and difficult, and it was just like a lot of work, and I'm like, do I really want to be president and kind of be in charge of all of this chapter? So for a while, I was just kind of like in my head a lot, and I was really debating for a moment, and then something just happened, and I'm like, I need to do this. Like, I will be so proud of myself after. I will make my family proud doing this. And honestly, just talking to my family, my friends, they really encouraged me and made me believe in myself that I could do it, and I'm really happy I did.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to hear. Is sort of they put it in your ear, you kind of think, I gotta play with the idea a little bit, and then eventually it hits you. Oh, absolutely, I can see this being me one day. Yeah. And we're gonna take a quick pause here. We'll get Ava's answer to that question here in a moment, but you're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back on Greek Speak, joined by two of our leaders from the Kappa Beta Gamma sorority on campus. It's Ava and Acasia that are on the show this hour. So we talked before we cut it away for a second about the sort of envisioning yourself as a leader, or if it was encouraged by others. And I want to hear a similar answer. Well, I want to hear your answer to the question, Ava. Whenever it was about the idea of becoming a vice president, which is a very important position, did you think that was something that you'd always wanted to do, or it was others sort of encouraging that within you, and then you eventually decide, oh, I can definitely do this?
So when I first joined, I knew that I wanted a position. I just didn't know if it was going to be on the executive board or something a little bit smaller. But then when I got my big, Tierney, she was the vice president at the time, and everything she did just looked like it just benefited the chapter and really just paid off, and she looked so proud of herself and all of us, and I was like, okay, I need to do this. She was like, you need to be the vice president. So then I just decided to run, and I truly am so happy that I did.
And I will say this, so you're now in your current positions. It's your first semester leading it, right?
Yep.
And in your first semester, you win Greek Week. So yeah. we got to talk about it now, because this is a room full of champions. It's one of those all did some type of projects. So we're definitely speaking on behalf of a lot of people in our organizations on this one today. So hopefully we don't step too out of line. But my oh my, does it feel good to win something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Now, what has it been for sororities recently? Like, did KBG win last year? Did the year before? Like, what's the pattern been?
We usually place, but while I've been here, we've never won. So It was honestly really amazing to win while being here.
That same answer, obviously. Yeah. For us, so the story was obviously PSK, and they came on the show beforehand. They had won 4 consecutive times. I think you're thinking about that streak. That means it went back to 2022. So now you're looking at 2021. Well, that was COVID. 2020 was also COVID. So this is a pre-COVID thing, perhaps. I don't even know the last time our chapter would have won, if ever. I don't know if they would have done something like this Greek Week before COVID. Do you know?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I know we have some photos in our chapter room that talked about us winning like 3 events in Greek Week. Now, I don't know. It was talking about like a three-peat. Now, I don't know if it's that we won those 3 events or we three-peated. I'm not sure. But all I know is winning felt great. Now it's on to the next one. That's all. You know, we celebrated in the moment. It's time to move on and focus on winning in 2027.
Yeah. Well, it's not our jobs to do that, though. That's the thing. So I think we could dwell on this for a while. Right?
Who knows?
Now.
Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'm coming back.
One more year.
One more year.
Well, I just gotta say, I mean, it was the tone of the week going into it was just like, look, like we're tired of not winning this. Like, we don't want this to become this standard that's been occurring constantly. So we've all been in it. Like, for a lot of us in our chapter, we're graduating a big number. This is our last shot. Let's make it count. And I would say right away, we start off a little behind. We talked about it on the show 2 weeks ago. PSK wins the banner competition. So we start off a little bit behind, but boy, did we make up for it on Sunday with yard games. That was really a turning point for us. How did the week start for, like, on the sorority sides? Like, if you can walk through sort of here's how the momentum shifted. Like, here's where, like, we were at on Sunday. Like, how did Sunday go for KBG?
Honestly, I think I can't even really remember because all I can really focus on is the win. But
we did like okay.
Yeah, I know I absolutely did terrible in cornhole, so we got last in that. But I think we did pretty good in spike ball, and what else was there?
We might have won spike ball.
I think we did. Like, I think we were placing in almost every event, just not getting first in yard games besides maybe spike ball. So like the events throughout the week is really where we tried.
Yeah, and I know like
back.
They had the water balloon toss, and my one roommate Peyton did that, and I guess the rules were a little bit confusing, and she didn't know like that it was based on time and not how far you step back. So she was taking like huge steps back, so that they lost that pretty early on, but it's all fun and games, so
you got to read that rules packet because you never know what sort of curveballs happen within those games. But I think, for us, I mean, Sunday was a blowout. All things considered, we were first in everything except for one. That was Cam Jam. Yeah, we got second in that anyway. And like reflecting on it, because as you move through the week, there's events here or there. So you're really chasing like, oh, we got to get 20 points. We got to win this event here. Sunday, it's all happening at the same time, and it's just. That is a day, in my opinion, like that day is make or break. Like everything, like if you're not hitting on at least half your cylinders, you're in trouble. But we had outstanding day for our brotherhood at least, and I'll tell you one of my favorite parts about. And I took pictures throughout the day. Everybody saw me holding my camera around and blah blah blah. But that was my job. I enjoyed doing that obviously. But one of my favorite parts about doing it was I kind of got to stand opposite of everybody during the three-legged race. So we had Brody Bellick. And we had Owen Henning, who participated in those events, and in that event in particular. And they just, I don't think it was a great start for them, but by the time they were halfway through the race, they were gone. I mean, they were long gone. You saw our whole chapter just erupt, almost dogpile of sorts. It was just it felt surreal being a part of that, of like, this is what it feels like to have a brotherhood this big and this sort of motivated to get the job done. I know you were excited during the three-legged race.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say I was running down the sideline. You ever see some of those football coaches and there's like a kickoff return and they're going down the sideline with them? That was me. And I mean, man, I haven't run that fast in years.
How did tug of war go for the sororities? I'm just curious. Yeah, because that was the last event of the day was tug of war. How'd it go for KBG?
What place did we even get, Ava?
I just know that you fell.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely ate it twice. I was actually going into expecting it to be like easy because I've never actually played it in my life, and I like to consider myself pretty strong. But then we went into it, and I felt like I was doing nothing. Like I felt like I was not pulling, and then I just kept falling straight into the ground, and it was very humbling. But we still did pretty well.
That was the event. If there was an event for us, that was the one. I mean, it was not a contest. We won our preliminary match in 3 seconds, if even, and it took maybe 8 to 10 against the PSK for a championship. And it's just we have very strong people, obviously, in our fraternity, but it also helps that we had some brothers that have a football background that were helping us out in that one. They were at the time new members.
Yeah,
but
James and Jesse Rodino. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that might have been the most aura moment of my life. Is them literally pulling them. Literally, the rope didn't even move. We celebrate, and then literally 5 minutes later, they walk over to the parking lot, hop on their motorcycles, and drive away. That was the most aura moment in my entire. It was awesome.
It was a taking care of business performance on that Sunday. We did really well on Sunday, but that sets the tone for the rest of the week, really, and it goes into the medallion hunts, which were the daily competitions to find a clue on the Instagram. Everybody's got to hunt and pray almost that it's going to work out, and for us, it worked out. I'd say 3 out of 4 days because there was one day where it
worked out. It worked out 4 out of 4, but they
had technicality.
They had to take some points away. Right. I don't know. I mean, this is something that I don't mean to brag or anything, but where I was, in this organization 3 years ago, spring of 2024 or 2023. Wow,
yeah,
we sucked. Like we were terrible. Like I don't even think we got anything. We were last. We didn't even do lip sync. I mean, just seeing how far and how far our organization has come. I couldn't be more proud, and it was so fun, going in the Snap group chat and seeing everyone on a call around the medallion time. They're like, oh, I got here, I got there. Dude, we had people every in every corner of campus.
Yeah, played out a fascinating way.
That does come, from having 60 members, but, they were everywhere.
Yeah. And I will say this as well, is that was a fraternity and sororities going together in those competitions, right?
Yes.
We actually have low-key beef with you guys because we were trying so hard to get the medallion.
Yes.
But any place we were or could try to be, you guys were already there with at least 3 or 4 of you. We couldn't even
No,
try.
there was no chance.
And if we would see you, we literally would just walk away because there was no point.
Well, the one day it was the medallion didn't get posted till after 3 o'clock. So I was outside for literally an hour and a half. It's so hot. I forgot my water. I'm I'm done. Give me this medallion already.
Oh, it was it was a fight, and that was an exciting deal. But the Wednesday was unfortunate because again that's where we lost the points that we had on that technicality. But I say that sort of with caution, just because it's not to discredit anybody on the Greek Week and the Rules Committee for what they did to set up the week and have a fair competition. They did an outstanding job. I can't imagine the stress that goes into it. So all the credit goes to everybody from Dylan Curtis, obviously, to Michael Luzzi, Izzy Kemp, everybody who was on that committee running the show, because that's a hard thing to do, organizing competitions. But also, knowing that Greek life is full of some ultra-competitive people, sometimes too much for their own good, I would argue. But regardless, very competitive people, having a disciplined set of rules, following them, making sure the competition goes as fairly as possible. They deserve a lot of credit for it. And I think this is a good time to now transition into Monday, where we had volleyball, correct? Or what was Monday? I remember there was one event I'm going to talk about on Monday. But
it was volleyball.
Yeah, I think so.
Volleyball, okay. And we won volleyball, correct?
No. We got second.
Second.
PSK. We got third because we played, I believe it was Katie Phi on that side of the bracket. Mm-hmm. And then PSK ended up playing Phi Delt in the championship. And then we had to run over to, some would say the main event of the day.
The main event. So, the spelling bee, right? Okay. So, who was your representatives for the spelling bee?
Was it?
It was Evan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it just her? Who else did it?
I think maybe Sid.
It
Sid was up there.
Sid,
Yeah, Sid was
I
up
think
there.
it was
I remember
Evan
that.
and Sid.
Yeah, they did good.
Yeah, they did do pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to say anything here, but I gave it a shot, I hope, and that was that turned into, in my opinion, that was one of the most fun moments I've ever had being part of Greek life. I just gotta say for the record. So, just for some context, what had happened was it was me and it was Sean from PSK. Of course, he was a former president. He, of course, as both of us, I think, are known for being a little. We have a bit of an academic side to us, I'd say, and it showed that night. So after the competition narrowed, so it was fraternities and sororities alternating. They were not competing against each other, but eventually narrowed down to Sean and myself. Of course, Kappa Sigma, PSK. You can't get away from it in the spelling bee. And I was going through the emotions, let me tell you. I up there holding the wall. Just you hear the word and you can, I was calculating, as soon as they said the word, thinking in my head, I'm like, how easy is this word truly going to be? Sean either got it or he didn't. He got it almost all the time. I had a chance to try and seal the competition. The word chrysanthemum comes up. If anybody listening can spell chrysanthemum without looking it up, I would love to hear it. It fell short for me, but it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, the deal was over. Sean wins. I lose. Get second place. Was hard to lose, but my gosh, I don't know what more I could have done on that. But I just what was it like for the audience sitting and just watching that?
I'm not gonna lie, I was not there, so I'm not really sure.
Were you there, Ava?
I was not.
No. Well, he's got an answer.
I'll say from the audience. I mean, obviously it was a little different because we had one of our members up there, and it was the same thing for PSK. But I thought it was such a cool experience. I think the spelling bee probably had the most energy out of any activity. I don't understand how, other than maybe lip sync, but it was so much fun. And literally the judges were Googling words because they ran out of words. So I thought that was really fun. And shout out to Amara and Izzy, who were in charge of the words.
Yes.
Really thankful for them. And some of the words they were saying, I didn't even know they existed. I probably couldn't tell you the first 2 letters in the word. Now these guys are out here getting 10 letters in. I'm like, what?
Well, I'll tell you, it was being up there. I would say this is where I knew Sean had the advantage because he was a lot more confident going through his words than I was. I was very slow. Asked for definition, asked for origins, and everything you can do to spelling bee. Like, I slowed the pace down the competition quite a bit. So he definitely had, I'd say, the edge in that sense. But it's also, I mean, there was a luck of the draw component of spelling bee, and I think that's kind of where it fell short. Izzy Kemp, I mean, we talked afterward, and she had said that she was about ready to give up and just call it a tie. And I'll say this, that would have probably been more beneficial to us because we were ahead in the competition. But I don't know if I would have accepted that. I would have been like, let's fight this out. Let's go until we can't. But no, it was, oh my gosh, I had a blast doing it. And that's someone like me. Like, I'm not a physical person. Everybody knows that. And I think to have an event like that, they didn't do that last year. They did it 2 years ago, I think. And to have finally had an opportunity to be a part of that was just so special. And I enjoyed kind of having the energy in the room towards both Sean and I at the end especially, and just playing into it. But I'd say it was also a sportsmanlike testament too, because the first people who shook my hand afterward are brothers of PSK. Like, that's as the saying goes these days, game respects game. But more of Greek Week talk is coming up here. We have a short break here, but we'll be back in just a moment here on Greek Speak, WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. We are back on Greek Speak, WSYC 88.7 FM. We're being a little sensitive to the time here, so we're going to kind of run through Tuesday and Wednesday real quick. As far as the Kappa Sigma side of things, basically I think we maintained. Like, Tuesday was a better day than Wednesday, but regardless, we sort of maintained the advantage we had going into Thursday. It's the medallion hunt on Thursday where we ended up, I would say, unofficially but officially winning the competition. Basically, all we had to do was score points during the lip sync competition at the end, so that meant we couldn't get disqualified. So that was a moment where we just had to keep our brothers disciplined throughout the competition. But now we got to talk about lip sync a little bit, because that's, of course, the pinnacle event. Weeks, maybe months for preparation work that goes into it. I want to talk about themes a little bit, because I think your chapter had a very interesting message, in my opinion. So talk a little bit about your concept for what lip sync was all about for you guys this year.
So honestly, our member Natalie took over, kind of helping with like our theme and everything and what we wanted to represent. And she just really wanted to have like a big storyline and like within our dance, and then also like with our banner having Rue and Katniss, because we were District 11 and that's Rue's district, so we really wanted to represent her and just like everything they went through and everything. So we really put that into our dance, and I feel like she did very well with giving the storyline. Like, I was Rue on stage, so
yeah,
that was
the introduction, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a little funny, whatever. I was like kind of, being killed or whatever, but it's definitely portrayed, I feel like, and people got like what was going on with like Rue and Katniss being front stage and everything.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's Natalie's like main goal, was not to just plan, just a dance for us to win. It was really just to tell the story behind it, and because that's really what the themes are all about.
Yeah, and I would say, Michael Luzzi, of course, he had a part in that first dance too. I mean, it was interesting to watch from the audience, and he had a lot of parts going on Thursday night. From our side of it, I was not a dancer in lip sync, and I know, Andrew, you had sort of the grand finale, if you will.
Diamonds, baby.
Diamonds. So with us being from District 1, it was all about wealth and luxury. So I would say our theme was more of we personified the songs that are most close to that theme, I'd say. A lot of Bruno Mars going on during our performance. But it was, I have a lot of respect for the choreographers, for everything they do in our organization to help it out, number one. But it's just, it is a lot to put on, and for us, I mean, like I said, going into that event, we knew our situation. Our situation as a chapter was very good. All we had to do, again, like I said earlier, like, don't mess this up in any way. Don't be unsportsmanlike. Don't do something that violates the rules, and we're all okay here. And that's exactly what we did. We got second on Thursday, but that was more than enough to still win overall. And it's obviously lip sync. You put a lot of work into it. We said last year, well, we didn't win overall, but we won lip sync. So this year it was backwards. We won overall, we lost lip sync. But I still think the fact that we won the week was almost like we finally there's no sort of consolation prize. We won overall. That's that. For you, like with KPG in the sorority race, DZ was the one coming in ahead, and you guys were sort of the outsiders looking in on the points battle.
Yeah.
So
We were like in second, like basically the whole week, honestly. We were really trying to get first, but we just kept coming in second in a lot of events, and it was really taking a toll on us. So
What helped us a lot was the dodgeball, though, on Wednesday. We won that.
yeah, so you were ready to go come Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're like, here's momentum's in our sails. Let's execute. You placed third overall, correct?
Right.
Okay, on lip sync.
Yeah.
Which awarded 20 points, and that was enough to barely get the edge, I believe.
Yep.
honestly, when I was sitting there, like, listening to them start announce everything, when I heard them announce that we came in third, I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way we have a shot of, like, winning. And then when they announced our name, I was genuinely in shock because I knew we were only getting, like, 20 points. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Because it was, like, pretty close, the points between us and DZ. But overall, it all worked out. And
You can do all the points watching in the world before it happens, but whenever you're sitting there in the audience and you're kind of in the moment, you're not thinking like, okay, this place is getting that many points. Like, there's not a lot of time for scenario thinking, number one. And secondly, during the dance, like, your job is to just think about your dance. Think about them, like, executing step by step. And I told our brothers, so they had me in his motivation chair on Tuesday because, we were practicing a little bit and maybe our hearts weren't in it so much. It's a long week. It's a long time trying to practice and prepare for it. But I simply said, like, what's our score, guys? Yeah, we were up at that time. And I said, no, 0-0. Like, you're not thinking about the scoreboard. We're not scoreboard watching while we go through this week. Yeah, like, during our downtime, let's look and let's talk. But whenever you're out there, no. Like, you got to focus. You got to be executing on it on all cylinders. And I think that's what our brothers did on Thursday. Like, it wasn't, I think, we just fell short overall in the competition. PSK really they brought the nines for it, quite literally. They dressed accordingly for their theme. So it was an amazing effort by them, certainly an amazing effort by us too, and we got second.
I got a quick question. Are either of you sweethearts for, like, were you guys in that?
No.
Okay. I didn't know, obviously, from a distance, and I'm pretty blind, so I can't really see. Like, I always tell my girlfriend, Lindsay, who's on dance troupe, I always tell her, like, if I'm being honest, I really can't tell you guys apart when they're doing the recitals. I was like, I'm really sorry, but I can't see. You guys all your hair slicked up and everything like that. But, overall, I thought it was really fun. And, I do give credit to PSK. Their performance was really, really good. And, I think that they really leaned into their theme. I mean, the overalls was awesome. And, it was just really fun to watch. I do want to give a huge shout out to Katie Phi. This is the Katie Phi fraternity. This is the first year that they've done it, and I want to say 2 years. And Katie Phi is really, really impressive. They're some of the first people to come to community cleanups, and then obviously throughout Greek Week they were constantly competing against everyone. Like, they may have a little bit of smaller numbers, but they're small but mighty. And I give a lot of credit to their president, Jesus Estrada, who is someone that we've had on the show, I believe, a couple semesters ago. So, they did a wonderful job, and, I really enjoyed that performance. And honestly, I'll tell you a little truth. I remember when they had their performance, I was like, that just won.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
I thought like,
really
oh my,
good.
like, especially after PSK, I'm like, we might get last. Like, I couldn't believe what's going on. But, like, you're watching Katie Phi, so, like, yeah, they're our competition. You're watching PSK, but, like, I'm going through this. I'm like, I can't even be mad right now. Like, this is good. And I'll say this on the other side. I mean, AO Pi, they won, right, for sororities.
No,
my God,
It was Phi Sig.
Phi Sig. Oh,
Yeah.
Phi Sig had won. AO Pi to play second, I
Yeah,
believe.
theirs
right?
was very good.
Phi Sig did an outstanding job as well. I mean, I enjoyed theirs, but I'd say like AO Pi, like, they got my attention. They had a really fun playlist. Like, I gotta say, that's what got me interested in theirs. But I mean, the amount of effort that goes into that, it's obvious, it's apparent, and for I know there's, like I said, I've talked about before that competition is not my forte, and there's probably a lot more that goes into it than what some people can handle. But I would say that overall, whenever it is shows on and the spotlights are on, it's pretty cool to see. It really is, and I think our chapters did a fantastic job just showing up, and the campus community did too. Very well attended event. But we are pushing towards the end of the hour, unfortunately, so we are going to shift the gears a little bit. We have a surprise on the other side of the break as we close off the discussion about Greek Week. We're going to have both of you ask us some questions. So we will take a quick 15-second pause. Again, we're on Greek Speak here on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Stay tuned. And we are back on Greek Speak, of course, with two of our leaders from the KVG sorority, Ava and Acasia. Thank you guys both so much for being in the studio today. And I will say this, so just to kind of wrap it up, I mean, yeah, it was great to win Greek Week, and huge picture between both of our chapters up there, too. It was awesome to have, over 100 people up there, it felt like. There was
not a single spot, of extra space on that stage. I mean, we had our guys, 2-3 rows. That's okay. We'll see after. But, I thought it was really cool. And, you guys have always been an organization that I've, always respected. And, we've never had any real opportunities to really interact. So this was a really cool experience. And I'm incredibly proud of you guys. So, you guys should be going for the 2-peat as well.
Oh, we're definitely going to try. But we were definitely really excited that we won together.
Yes.
That was honestly
because as a team, too, us both not winning the dance and then both winning overall, I feel like it's just so special.
Yeah. And I'll also say this, one more point. We had a lot of momentum for our chapter in the past 2 weeks. Our new members became brothers as well, throughout the course of this. We have a new, officer group coming in. So, there's so much going on right now.
Sunday, baby.
Sunday, yep. So Andrew is retiring.
Yes.
Or at least, kind of retiring by compulsion, I'd say, thanks to
they're putting me down. They're putting me down.
Yeah. Well, you have a great successor, Bryce Vaughn, coming in, my roommate as well, so that will be a good position. But I'd say as well, Wednesday night Student Life Awards, of course, we as a chapter did outstanding. Our it's great to see what the university recognized with both just individual brothers and the collective brotherhood that we have. A lot of awards that we had won, so I'm real proud of that. But I do want to jump it into sort of as we close this episode. We always do this segment as we end the show. I want you guys to ask us some questions. So what's on your mind here? What do you want to know from us after all the questions we sort of kind of thrown at you today? What do you want to hear from us?
Real quick, did you guys, I can't remember, did you guys win an academic award?
Yeah, we had top
yes.
GPA for the fall semester.
Just wanted to point that out. I remember, I was like, I'm pretty sure they did, but congratulations for that.
Yes.
Obviously, the main purpose of coming to college is putting your academics first. Mm-hmm. So congratulations. It's a real prestigious honor, and I hope you guys continue your great success in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What questions we got?
I want to know why you guys do Greek Speak. Why'd you do this?
Yeah, we've been asked this a couple times before, but it comes up every now and then. So I'd say this is a segue. So you have to go back 2 years ago to understand the context here. So this might be a totally different subject for you, but I'd say at the time, I did feel like the relationship as someone I'm in the ComJourn program, I'm involved in student media very heavily. I was pursuing Greek life. There was some tension that was building between that relationship, and it wasn't something that I enjoyed because I felt like both communities have taken care of me in their own ways, and I wanted to see that there were good sides to both, and I wanted to see if there was a way to bridge that divide. And I feel like Greek Speak has been that. This is a student media organization we're representing here, and we're also representing Greek life. And I like to think that I've had a role in trying to mend that relationship. Bridget Allen, the person who preceded Dylan Curtis, she was on the show at one point last year too, was very supportive of the idea. Jenna Cornell, the general manager of WSYC, she was supportive of the idea too. Apparently, she said that she doesn't believe this was the first time we had done a show like this, but she was excited the fact that Greek Life, I guess we would say I'm talking about Greek Life, that Greek Life was going to try and revive this, and I think we've done it pretty well. So, Andrew, I don't know if you have anything to add on that point, but that's kind of that's how it started for me, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like that's definitely part of it. Another part was I really wanted to get into more areas of student media. I've always been, somewhat of a consistent member of SUTV. Definitely not this semester because I've been working, and obviously being a second semester senior with that, load for work, or that workload, I should say. It hasn't been easy, but I always try to get for live events and stuff. But I always respected what WSYC did, and it actually stemmed from a prior podcast, Beyond the Game, which I had ran with Ryland Walls, another Comjurin student, and a fellow brother, Bryce Walliver. And that's what really developed my love for podcasting and love for talk shows. And I was like, why don't I take another thing that I love and combine it and make a Greek talk show? And, Luke and I came and talked, and then we obviously talked about, the status of where Greek life and the status of the relationship between Greek life and student media was at. And quite frankly, it was not at a good point at all. And I really wanted to change that. And, we came, it was September of 2024. I believe our first episode was in September. Maybe that was the planning stage, and we got up and running in October. But, through that first semester, a lot of people will call it Kappa Speaks, as some would say.
We were short on guests, to put it that way, and we were kind of going from the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the hardest part, was to get people to buy in to what we were talking about. And, people didn't really understand where we were. And also, I mean, to be honest, Luke and I scripted a lot of our shows at the beginning. We came in with, prepared questions and stuff. And if you go back and listen to an episode from 2024 and then listen to the episodes today, I think they're completely different. I think they're night and day. But again, overall, I just wanted to get more involved in student media and, take two things that I love and bring them together. And here we are 4 semesters later or something like that. And I think it's been like 42 episodes. So, I'm incredibly proud of what we did and, what we're going to be hopefully passing off to our successors.
Well, Acasia, as time kind of dwindles down a little bit here in the hour, what questions do you have, or what's one question you got for us?
I think kind of just what you ended with, like, you said you're graduating, so is somebody going to be, like, replacing you?
Do we have that official yet, or we still we think we have some names?
So it's about 95%.
Yeah.
I know that we have at least one of our guests confirmed, being Owen Henning. Owen Henning is the newly elected Grand Treasurer of the Kappa Lambda chapter of Kappa Sigma. He will be installed as the full Grand Treasurer this Sunday, taking over for the great Owen Frederick. Owen's a great guy. He's a huge supporter of the show, and he's been on the show. And 2 weeks ago, he actually came and observed, took some notes and stuff. I really believe that the show's in good hands. And then another guy that we've been tossing around is Tyler Sinkowski, who is a current sophomore in the Communication, Journalism, and Media Department, also a brother of the Kappa Sigma fraternity. They both have expressed interest. They've popped up some different ideas of having, different guests on or different hosts on every other week. I don't know where that will be, but I think it's pretty well known that the show is going to continue, and I hope that people continue to support the show, as I truly want, to spread the awareness of Greek life and, the good that it can do for people's lives.
Right. That's where, again, it's not official who we got coming up next, but the fact there is some plan of continuity right now it puts me at ease too, because for everything else I do on campus, this is something that I think it's an hour in a studio where I can just talk about something that I am passionate about and I enjoy. And that puts me at peace, and I think whoever the next host of this show are, I hope they get to enjoy that same privilege. And if it is Owen and Tyler, then absolutely, that's going to be wonderful for them. So I would wish them all the best. But certainly there's going to have to be a transition phase that we're going to have to figure out pretty quickly before we're out the door on May 9th. So trust me, like that question, like we've been asking that question for a while, and we're starting to get closer and closer to that answer. We're feeling pretty confident that we're going to have that finalized here soon. So
probably within the next week. Maybe we could possibly see our successors be our guests next week. Hint, hint, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a requirement. But I'd say this. Thank you guys both so much for coming into the studio. Really appreciate your time and representing KBG coming in here. We're glad we had this conversation, and especially one that I don't want to say it's our final episode, obviously, since we have one more next week. But I'd say a final final moment we're kind of reaching outside the organization a little bit. So thank you guys both for being a part of that, and it's been a pleasure talking to you both. So happy to have you on air. That being said, again, we got to do a quick wrap up here. Again, thank you for listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg University. Next week will be the final episode that Andrew and I will be hosting, so please be sure to tune in for that on May 1st. Until then, take care.